Hi, I'm Shannon.
And I'm Joe.
Today we're going to teach you about the respiratory system, starting with the nose and nasal cavity. Okay, first we're going to start over here at the external nares, also referred to as the nostrils, and these are just a passageway through which oxygen enters the body. Next, we're going to talk about the nasal conchae. They function in turbulence, and there is superior nasal conchae, middle nasal conchae, and inferior nasal conchae. Next are the internal nares, which would be located in this region. They are openings at the back of the nasal passage that empty into the nasopharynx. Next, we have the hard palate and also the soft palate, which also includes the uvula. The hard palate is made of bone, whereas the soft palate only consists of muscle. Next, we have the paranasal sinuses. In this model, you can see the frontal nasal sinus and also the sphenoid nasal sinus. What cannot be seen are the maxillary and sphenoid paranasal sinuses. These are just air-filled spaces that surround the nasal cavity. Next, we're going to move on to the pharynx. As part of the respiratory system, the pharynx allows movement of air from the nose to the larynx and also has 3 regions. The first region is the nasopharynx. It starts around the internal nares and occupies a space until about the uvula. This contains the pharyngeal or adenoid tonsil and also the opening of the eustachian tube located here. The next region, or the second region, is the oropharynx. This region contains the uvula, and it also contains the palatine tonsils and the lingual tonsils. The tonsils help to prevent infection in the body by trapping bacteria and viruses. The uvula works by closing off the nasopharynx portion during swallowing, which prevents food from entering the nasal cavity while eating. The third region of the pharynx is the laryngeal pharynx. This is located between the hyoid bone and the start of the esophagus. The esophagus is posterior to the larynx and the trachea. Next, we are going to move over to the other model, which is the larynx. The larynx allows air to be directed to the respiratory organs for breathing and is located between the pharynx and the trachea. There are 3 singular cartilages that make up the larynx. These are the thyroid cartilages, the cricoid cartilage, and also the epiglottis. The epiglottis is a flap of cartilage located behind the tongue and on top of the larynx. The main function is to seal off the windpipe during eating so food is not inhaled. If you turn the model around, you can also see the thyroid cartilage here and also the cricoid cartilage. This is the hyoid bone. If we turn the model back around, you can see the 3 paired cartilages, which first are the arytenoid cartilages and the corniculate cartilages. Not seen on this model are the cuneiform cartilages. You can also see the vocal folds, which would be located here, but they can be better seen on this model. The top are the ventricular or false vocal folds, and the bottom are the true or true vocal folds. So if we move back over to this model, you can also see the vocal folds. On top would be the vestibular or false, and the bottom would be the true. This would be the larynx region, which is anterior, and the esophagus, which is posterior. Next, Joe is going to teach you about something.
Alrighty, we're going to go over the lungs here first. They're the primary organs of your respiratory system. They function in the transfer of oxygen and carbon dioxide to take in oxygen and expire carbon dioxide. Over here we have the right lung. The right lung has 3 lobes. the superior lobe, the medial lobe, and the inferior lobe, which is down here. You have two fissures on this lung, a horizontal fissure here and an oblique fissure here. Over on the left lung, we have the inferior lobe and the superior lobe and the inferior lobe. Sorry about that. And we have one oblique fissure. So we only have two lobes here. That's a great way to identify each lung. If I open this lung up here, you can see that there's a little notch right here. That is your cardiac notch, making room for your heart. Another great way to identify the left lung. The mediastinum is the central compartment of the thoracic cavity, right in here. It includes the trachea, esophagus, thymus, heart, aorta, and major vessels. The diaphragm down here is right below the lungs. It separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity, and it plays a major role in inhalation and expiration. Your pleural cavities, you can't really see, we don't have a model for them, but they surround your lungs. They're membranes that surround the lungs. There are right and left cavities for the right and left lung. They're separated by the mediastinum. The partial pleura is the outermost membrane and is attached to the inner surface of the thoracic cavity. The visceral pleura is a delicate membrane that covers the surface of the lung itself. And there is pleural fluid present in these cavities that acts as a lubricant and allows respiratory movements to occur. Now we'll move on over to the trachea. The trachea, also known as the windpipe, is a hollow tube that connects the larynx to the bronchi of the lungs. And it just provides airflow from your larynx to your bronchi and to your lungs. The tracheal cartilage are these rings that you see here. They're also called tracheal rings. They surround the trachea for support while also allowing movement for breathing. There are typically 15 to 20 tracheal cartilage rings, depending on the person. The trachea branches into left and right primary bronchi. These also serve as a passageway into the lungs. The primary bronchi branch into secondary bronchi here, 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 and here. The right secondary bronchi, there are three right secondary bronchi, here, here, and here, because there are three lobes in the right lung, and there are two secondary bronchi here because there are only two lobes in the left lung. And the secondary bronchi then just branch into tertiary or segmental bronchi.
And that's everything for our video.
Thanks for watching.